My name is Richard AJ Kivas. Yeah, you get my full name for the people who have that followed on every platform I advertise this podcast on. And welcome to Richard and Karl present Deep Space and Dragons.
I'm Karl, D.A. Pole, in case you wanted to try and find me on Facebook.
Wow, you just straight up doxed yourself. You were an enigma. That's going to make making the Karl tattoo so much easier. Also,
D.A. I mean, that's true. I am on Facebook.
Although, I appreciate the D being the Monkey D. Luffy D, where it like clearly has plot significance, and they're not going to learn this for another 1,000 episodes. They still haven't explained that in One Piece. But yes, Deep Space and Dragons. Sometimes we talk nerdy things, sometimes we talk vampires, sometimes we read random questions. But what we always do without fail, is ask what's new in the Karlverse.
Well, I mean, so I'm assuming you have heard of the game Exploding Kittens.
Yes. I love kittens. I don't love exploding them in real life, but the Exploding Kittens card game is in my backpack of games and is a good warm-up game when you're waiting for the inevitably late people to arrive.
Well, so you're right. It's a quick and easy game to set up and play, especially when you're waiting for other people. And there's a Minions variant. It's just a clone of the game, but with Minions instead of kittens.
Misplay. I just realized something vital. We'll get back to it. Would this not be one of the best games to make into a Dragon Ball variant for no adequately explored reason?
A Dragon Ball variant?
Because instead of a bomb, it'd be you get kicked out of the arena. So it'd be like Tournament of Power, and all the cards would be Dragon Ball themed. So like, if you have 3 characters from the same universe, you draw a card. It'd be great. You call it Exploding Dragon Balls. Great.
Pretty cool. My girlfriend and I also like to shop at Dollarama.
Not a sponsor of this episode.
As a side note, whenever I see that there's packs of Magic at Dollarama, I just have an impulse. It's $1.50. So I buy a pack, even though I know that there's no way I'm actually going to make like my actual value back.
So it's like part of me wants to. So as an avid card gamer, like semi-pro card gamer, hangs around with card gamers my entire life, this both bugs me so much, but makes so much sense. Because cracking packs is always the stupid way. Buying just the cards you need for your deck will always be cheaper every time, and the only sensible reason to ever crack packs is if you win the packs. But also, cracky pack make brain feel good and release happy chemical.
Anyways, magic packs at Dollarama are not the point of the story, although, as another tangent, MTG Goldfish / Card Kingdom?
Mm-hmm.
I guess Card Kingdom is a frequent sponsor of MTG Goldfish.
But not of us. But they could be.
They could be. One day, maybe.
I really enjoy the sponsor bit, because at some point someone will actually offer to sponsor us that will just deeply confuse us and we'll actually have to discuss it. And it's like, will we Taco... So, at some point I'm going to tell you the story of how Taco Bell has an unofficial literary magazine that wins awards and actually pays out its submissions, called the Taco Bell Review. And it's like, it's not sponsored by Taco Bell in any way. It's just a literary magazine that you can submit to as long as your piece is somewhat Taco Bell related. Like, even if your character is just eating, if it just takes place at a Taco Bell, it counts, or if they're just eating a taco in one scene. It's a whole thing. It bugged my prof so much because it was like, this is legit. I'm so mad. It is a well-built magazine. Sorry, the Taco Bell quarterly being a thing is amazing, but please continue your story.
Well, I mean, I was also in the midst of a small tangent because one of the hosts recently discovered that Magic packs are available at Dollarama. And funny enough, they're $1.50 American, and they're still $1.50 Canadian. So I win in this exchange.
Do you?
But he cracked like 10 or 15 Dollarama packs, and I think he only got like $5 worth of value.
See, all is right with the world. It's like, so Magic Packs, I prefer to scratch tickets, but I acknowledge them as fundamentally the same. And I prefer them because you can't play a game of scratch tickets.
Right.
However, you can play a game with random booster packs, or use them to like wallpaper a house at this point. So, for what's more amusing, it is absolutely the Magic the Gathering packs. But like, oof.
The actual point of the story involving Dollarama is the fact that at Dollarama...
Oh, I need to pause you for a second. This is important. So picture me turning directly to the camera as I say this. Disclaimer.
Yeah.
There is no point to this show. Richard and Karl present Deep Space and Dragons as a satirical parody show, and no one should take anything we do seriously for any legal means. All characters mentioned in this are fictional, including Richard and Karl, for the purposes of this podcast. I am a person named Richard who plays a character named Richard. Don't add us, don't sue us. Okay, thanks. Please continue.
But so I go to Dollarama, and lo and behold, Exploding Minions is at Dollarama for $5.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'd fall for that one.
And yeah, so we definitely scooped it up. And so now every time we go to Dollarama, my girlfriend has to check out the board game section.
I mean, yeah, because I see the logic. You stock in your board game shop a novelty board game. It doesn't sell. You ship it back to off sales, and then it finds its way to Dollarama. Like, I see how they didn't sell at full price Minions board games, and I can see why Walmart's like stocks it for whenever a Despicable Me movie comes out, and then like, cool, now we can just give our off sale to Dollarama. Like, you might be onto something on this one.
Well, another interesting find at Dollarama was Stranger Things figurines. The reason I found them funny is because Bandai Namco did the action figure, and then Netflix did Stranger Things, so they have those two logos on there. And then also, even though I was at Dollarama, the packaging claimed that these figurines were only available at Target.
That's hilarious. No notes, that's just great.
There were 3 different business logos on the one package.
Meanwhile, like, when I find myself at a dollar store, it's mostly to pick up junk food. So, I have friends that have been raised in such lives of luxury. They say things like, I don't know if I'd eat food from a dollar store. I don't know how long it's been there. And realistically, as the cultured individuals they are, I can see the argument of, maybe I don't know how old these cookies are or how much care they've been given at Dollarama. But the other part of me is like, these maple cookies will outlast all of us. So I don't buy typically food from Dollarama. Like, I probably won't buy a loaf of bread from there typically. But sweets, chips, cookies, food that is only food if you're trying to trick a government to give you a grant for your education culinary system, but not actually food as we know it, food, is the kind of thing I most often get from dollar stores.
Yeah, I mean, they sometimes have other cool stuff. And
water guns.
That we got. Well, one other find that we got was also a card game. Is Kellogg's Pop-Tarts.
Ooh.
It's a card game.
So, you know, one thing I keep seeing, like, wanting to see but haven't? I'm just waiting for the day dollar stores stock Beyblades. I will just buy out their stock so I can go to an entire class and be like, I got everyone a Beyblade. I have set up the stadiums. Let it begin.
There was one time I really considered buying a Beyblade stadium because the Beyblades were Bluetooth.
Yep.
So I don't know how much control you had over the spin and direction of the Beyblade, but like...
Having any is super cool. There's been like 3 phases in my life where I've actually bought Beyblades. First one was the original Target Age. Then it was the first time I lived with Panda. We saw these like wind-up Beyblades at Walmart. You're like, you know what would be really fun and stupid? So with our construction worker money. And then there hasn't been a third wave yet. Because I was at Anime North with one of my partners, and it was like, we walked past the Beyblades, and they're the Bluetooth ones, and I'm like, you know, I could. I'm an adult. I could just buy this. So I'm right there with you to a concerning degree. I also really enjoyed the Beyblade GameCube game and the Beyblade PlayStation 1 game, so I'm not to be trusted.
But the ultimate point of my Dollarama story, and this would have tied in perfectly if we had stuck with our original plan for this episode. But
don't show them behind the screen. You know, people think this is scripted.
I felt inspired to continue working on my own board game / card game ideas, and I think I have a playtestable set of rules. Although I still have to determine, what kinds of cards are actually in the game and whatnot. But so, if you're watching this in the future, then perhaps there'll be another future where Richard and Karl present board games.
It's true. We want to try our hand at a dev stream type situation. So if you'd be interested in that, leave a comment below or tie a message to a pigeon and send it in Saskatchewan's general direction.
But so what's new with you, Richard?
So I'm on reading week, which apparently is a thing you get in universities in the summer. And I'm mostly using it to try and set up for my internship, and I'm not going to go into too many details of that. But it's interesting. I have more spare time than I'm used to, so I've been burning it pretty fast. And I'm also kind of cursed. So there's a friend of mine, I want to help them with some yard work, and every time I go to their house, it just starts raining. Without fail. And I'm like, what is this? Like, who is releasing a Kyogre specifically when I go over there? But, new with me is just spinning my 30 projects at once. It's like, yeah, I got time off class. It's time to double down on doing schoolwork. Because I am a cool person with cool interests.
To school for cool.
I also binged Octopath Traveler 2 for a bit. It was fun. It took me till completing the game to realize if you took the first letter of each character's name, it spelled out Octopath.
That's amazing.
The fact I'm like, what? And then I'm like, Partitio, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, I also ran a D&D game where a zombie T-Rex vomited zombies at people.
Ooh, I love the zombie T-Rex.
So,
because then he can, eat the zombies to, instantly kill them and regain HP.
Oh, this one's a different one. So this one was the mouth of the T-Rex was the dungeon.
Oh.
I cannot believe I got them to walk into the cave that turned out to be the T-Rex. I am so happy that worked.
Considering how difficult it is to get your players to do anything you want them to do.
So, I was running, a DM's Guild Adventure League adventure. And normally their Adventure League adventures are kind of meh. They'll be 5 dragon carvings, 5 stones, and they're okay. Whatever team decide to run this specific one, we're on some sort of drugs. Because here are some of the encounters that were in this random adventure from the kit. A dungeon that's a zombie T-Rex that was covered in vines, and you go inside its stomach and take a rope of binding out of it, and it unvines the T-Rex, and you have to escape it before it fills with stomach acid, and then fight the T-Rex that spits zombies at you.
Okay.
There was flying mummy monkeys. It was a swarm of mummified undead flying monkeys.
Okay.
There's 2 zombie beholders with sticks in their mouths poking at the sand, who tricked the party into walking into quicksand so some zombies underneath the quicksand could pull them in, and that actually worked. Because they just want to parley with the beholders, and the beholders like, yeah, of course, treasure, help us dig, please, heroes, and then they fall for it, like, haha, you suck. And the party fighter was just so legitimately sad at the betrayal. It was also had the classic bridge puzzle of a horde of zombies are chasing you across a bridge, and will the bridge give way? And there's 2 natural ones, so they end up shoulder tackling the post and knocking the bridge down. So, this adventure, I'm just okay, you got zombie beholders, flying mummy monkeys, bone nagas, bird folks dropping rocks to rescue you, then encouraging you to do a cliff dive to become their friends, and a dungeon that is a T-Rex. And I'm like, where is this level of creativity normally, Wizards of the Coast? Wow.
The T-Rex dungeon, that one sounds pretty epic.
Right? There's just some winning ideas in here I wasn't expecting, so weekly D&D was delightful. Also, for the first time in a while, they, didn't just outplay me.
Oh.
Well, except at one point where I cursed one of them, and they're like, I cast remove curse. I'm like, why did they even have curses? flip table. They got bit by a rabid monkey curse bite. Also, the zombie beholder was almost perma-killed a player because the disintegration ray would just have killed them. And they'd be dead permanently. Right. And I'm like, it would do 42 damage. They're like, I'm dead permanently. I'm like, And then I like double check distance. It's like, oh no, you're 10 feet outside its range. I did double check that to make sure I didn't just kill you from this one shot from this enemy, because that's not a fun way to die. So it's like I rules lawyered myself to save their life. See, I'm a firm believer in killing players when it's been earned. Like when Panacora jumped into a well with a Hydra.
Yeah, we've had a lot of well-earned player deaths for sure.
But I want to make sure they're fair when I murder someone. And a beholder shooting you, like, you'll notice I do this where I'll like do like okay, I don't actually want to kill you, so let's see if there's any loopholes. Do you have any abilities, any ranges? Did I miss math? Is there any technicality of you not being dead before I kill you?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, even when Thedric had the arm that if you rip it off, it kills you, the cursed arm. Was that the hand of Vecna?
Yeah, you just had the arm of Vecna, because I made a cool Captain Eisen parody that turned out to be wimpier than I expected. I had this cool idea for an illusion wizard swordsman with the arm of Vecna, and then he just lost, like, bad.
But even when you ripped the arm of Vecna off, we ripped the arm of Vecna off Thedric, you gave me a choice about whether or not he lives or died by sending him to the Allfather to receive his quest.
See, that's what I like doing, is I like using... Quest. One of the best pieces of DM advice I got is spin failure into new story hooks. So I almost always give someone a Faustian bargain when they die.
Right.
But sometimes it's like my players are just suicidal. It's like, oh yeah, I'm just going to jump in the acid well. I'm like, yeah, Hydra bites off all 5 of your limbs and you fall in acid. I don't know what to tell you. Do any of the gods want to save me? No, you were a terrible person in life. Well, do any of the evil ones want to offer me a pact? No, you're unreliable. Both the gods and the devils have forsaken you because you've shown no value to this world.
But maybe we should move on to our actual topic.
I suppose, as much as we could easily...
Shonen Jump this week?
Oh, I forgot. This was part of my What's New. I used Thedric as an NPC.
Oh.
So they went to the marketplace to buy magic items, like they always do, even though that's not actually a thing in 5th edition.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, I have my magic shop set up. So they find an anvil-shaped tent. And just the most helpful shopkeeper who's just straight up Thedric. And like, while I was like, oh, I can't afford this $500 Proku protection. Can I have it for $300? I'm a hero, I promise. Like, okay, here you go. And like, 2 of my players from the trauma of Thedric, which their main trauma with Thedric is Thedric was a really useful character that kept almost dying, so the entire mission became save Thedric from himself. It's so interesting. If you play a barbarian or a fighter who runs through the door first to die, people don't care. But when you're the cleric, they suddenly have concerns. So, like, Thedric NPC was just super helpful, gave out some magic items, silver-tipped all their weapons. At one point, gave someone a tank of sobriety. That if you push the red button, it turns to alcohol. If you touch the blue button, it turns non-alcoholic. If you touch the green button, you roll a D100 to get a random potion. And he's literally like, oh, I came out here because I ran to one of my friends the other day, and they went on an adventure without me, so I figured I'd go help him out, and now I'm in the market. And then the Fire Lord was just in the back smelting metal.
The Fire Lord was one of Thedric's true friends, unlike Trish the Dish.
Yep. Oh, I also made a moment where Thedric's like, take these health potions. It's like, were you an adventurer, sir? He's like, I was. I had some friends die, some come back to life, some that didn't come back to life, some that weren't friends.
Poor Cedric.
It was fun times. So I thought you'd appreciate that.
I do appreciate that.
Just he's like the perfect random merchant to find places, because he just would be. But with that,
he definitely would be.
Shall we pivot to what's new in Shonen Jump?
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with Deep Kaiju number 8 spoilers.
Deep Kaiju number 8 spoilers.
So Kaiju number 8, currently airing as an anime, is fantastic. So
that's true.
I talk a lot about pacing in manga, and I've kind of inverted my stance.
Oh?
So originally, I'm like, things like Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece were very slow, padding along series. Then we have things like trying to always be more epic, like My Hero Academia and Jujutsu Kaisen, which are like slow padding, but they're pretending to be high action. It's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna have people fight Sukuna for 100 chapters.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's every bit as slow as having people talk in a boardroom, especially when you flash back to people talking in a boardroom, but you're making it be a fight scene this entire time, which just makes it exhausting. Like, I've listened... So there's reviews... Oh, go ahead.
I have a small theory. That the author of Jujutsu Kaisen made himself sick with his awful writing.
Yes.
Maybe I shouldn't say it's awful, but he literally has taken a leave of absence because he's unwell. And he claims that the series is almost over, but the last chapter, assumably partly because he was unwell, was only 7 pages. And the pacing is completely glacial because it's going nowhere.
So, after rewatching the JJK manga anime, the funniest part is everything all of my favorite scenes about fail are pre-Shibuya. Like, literally them being like, oh, we got coffee on Gojo's shirts is one of the best scenes in the series. But, like, what happens is, in Shibuya, there was this big epic final fight between Team Bromance and Team Zombie Murder Soul Mutator. Where they're like, yeah, we're punching. He gives this cool I'm you wolf kill. Sweet. And then they start doing the thing where, like, then Geto shows up, then blonde person shows up, then the other kids show up, then every character you've mentioned in the show shows up and talks, and then shows up some more, and then Sukuna's retainer shows up, and that's the exact moment where the show lost me, because it's like, yeah, we're now Fate of the World, and I'm like, no, Fate of the World sucks. And then he also wrote, like, 2 cool female characters and then killed them, because of course he did. Why is it always like, I don't mind that the squads are 2 men, 1 woman in every anime ever made to do like a weird love triangle thing. I'm weirdly okay with that being the squad structure. Sure, more men probably than women join the demon killing brigade. That's just statistically how labor market works. Right. It's unfortunate, but I could see the logic. It bugs me, but also 3-man teams are just kind of smoother than 4-man teams. I don't know why, it's easier to balance your dynamics. But they always make the female character worse. Every time without failure. And then JJK, they just straight killed her. No, worse than that, they fridged her. Because she's not technically dead, she's just done nothing for the rest of the show, and might be dead. That's worse.
But...
Yes, so where I was going with this with Kaiju.
JJK...
So...
Right.
Unless you have thoughts on JJK, because... Yeah, I was talking about pacing, where they like to do the Great Ninja War or Aizen arc, where they throw every character into something, instead of gradually building to a finale. So to give the exact opposite of the JJK effect. So the JJK effect is literally, let's throw every single character against our main boss, whether they should be there or not. The Full Metal Alchemist ending threw every main character against the boss as well. It worked for Full Metal Alchemist for 3 reasons. First, it was the end of the show. You don't get to pull that crap twice. JJK has done that like 3 times now. My Hero Academia did it like 4 times. Bleach has done it thrice, but like, I give them a pass because they took, like, the Quincy role felt like, the Quincy arc was so separate from the show, it felt like a sequel. So it's like, you did it once for the end of the Aizen fight, rebuilt up your show, and then did it for the Quincy thing. It doesn't bug me as much.
Right.
So, the problem with that pacing is once you've done your, like, cool epic moment, your show's kind of screwed. So, we get to Kaiju number 8, which I adore. And we have the childhood flashback, and this is a beautiful chapter. provided the show ends in the next 8 chapters.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, do you think it needs to end that quickly?
Well, his entire goal for the show was to become badass enough to stand next to her. Her goal the entire show was to stop being socially awkward and actually talk to him. There's so many things when rewatching the anime where, like, she's in the room about to say something along the lines of, "It's been 10 years, why the fuck didn't you text me?" Like, the captain has so much of this energy of Kafka being like, we could have still been friends and no, you're just gonna ghost me? Okay. And, like, I also have a title and a job now. Like, when he's just in the stage, it's like, "Hey, friend," and just calls her by the name, and it's like, "Drop and give me 200," and she's just fighting the smirk so hard. So, like, their character dynamic is actually amazing, because Kaiju number 8, unlike JJK, where all the upper elites are just morons for no reason, we're like, well, zombies are attacking, better make Gojo illegal. Wait, your plan, when all the curses appeared, is to not free the guy that can fight curses. You're stupid beyond belief. Oh, and we're going to also execute our sorcerers. Your plan, while overrun by demons, is to reduce your labor force. Are you stupid? Like, wait, you're going to pitch...
JJK had so much potential.
You're going to pitch your sorcerers against your other sorcerers for internal politics while Shibuya got nuked? And that's why making things fade the world doesn't work. It makes no rational sense to waste your manpower on Yuji when monsters are literally killing your citizens in the street, and he's killing the monsters.
Okay. I mean, this isn't a dunk on JJK episode, because I mean there are some merits to it, and
I was
also
going somewhere with this.
As previously mentioned, the author is unwell, and while I do joke about him having made himself sick, it's creative people like that, get overworked, and editors make changes that sometimes don't fit with the series, and so we have no idea how close this is to his actual vision for the series.
That is fair. Well, part of why I'm giving the JJK for context before we jump into new series is largely about the scope, pace, changing chapter. When you do some sort of, where you literally set off a bomb, and then you go into a ninja war situation, which I've seen happen a lot. A lot of series are just like, okay, we're going to make the stakes no longer personal, and it's going to be a big battle. All our existing characters are going to show up at that big battle. And then we're not going to care about their interpersonal dynamics, or we're going to care about them when it makes no sense to. It's like when the plant's about to blow up, and you're yelling at someone because they're a vegan, and you're like, but you do realize that the world is going to blow up. So,
okay. So, I think part of what you're trying to say here, or part of what I'm getting from what you're saying, is that part of the reason that the epic battles in, say, Full Metal Alchemist and Kaiju number 8, part of the reason that they work is that fate of the world
is coincidental.
It's coincidental. All the motivations are still extremely personal.
Exactly. This isn't about the kaiju about to wipe out mankind. It's that the exact quote is, "You said you'd catch up, and I thought you'd never make it, and you're handling things on your own, but you're finally here so we can stand side by side as I'm a gunner and you're a puncher, and we're going to do awesome teamwork things." Like, yes, this is one of the best love stories ever written, maybe. I don't know if they're going to go that way with it or not. It's either it's either going to be the best bromance or the best romance, and I'm good either way, which is a weird place to be.
I'm not sure if JJ or if Kaiju number 8 is going to end right away, because the B side is still chugging along, filling in some of the blanks, and then B, super early on he gets turned into a kaiju. And they've just, the only potential hint of anything that they've done with that was when he sees the spirit while he's training to do his modified squadron techniques.
It's true that the mysterious larvae who has, what was it? I was looking it up the other day, and the internet has decided to name the mysterious larva Kevin.
Okay.
So we shall refer to him as Kevin, because it's true. Kevin's right. I found you, and turns him into Kaiju Man. Which, when we were talking
then I guess he does show up when they're testing him to see whether or not can control his kaiju form and tries to take over his body. But
also,
really, the whole plot point is just completely unresolved, and I don't know if they could resolve it nicely within 8 chapters.
so like my actual concern for the series is like the last 20 chapters have been building up to them standing dramatically side by side in this exact scene, fighting the two-headed death monster.
Yeah.
This is either the end of Act 1 or the end of the series that it's ramping towards. And I'm not saying it's going to be 10 chapters, 20 chapters, 50 chapters. This is the emotional climax of the story.
That is true.
And a lot of shows, when you set up your emotional climax, if you keep it alive from that point, you either need to pull a JoJo's and drastically shift your focus, or artificially shove these characters apart, which is the worst. Like, if he's just like, and now the parasite's taking me over and I'm just an evil kaiju, and then we switch to her point of view for the rest of the show trying to rescue him. I don't even know if I'd hate that, but you've seen tropes like that happen before. Like,
right.
Bleach had a bit of a stumbling block where him rescuing Rukia was completely emotionally core-driven, and that resulted in that just being the show's best plot arc by, like, a lot. And then Orihime gets captured, but it didn't have the same depth to it. Like, it didn't have the same melodrama, tragedy, self-sacrifice. It felt like they're just kind of doing it again because he didn't know what else to do.
Well, yeah, and like, Orihime spent all of the Soul Society arc benched. So he didn't build up that emotional resonance to make that motivation worthwhile.
Which is really funny because she was in probably 100 more chapters than Rukia was before Rukia got captured. But because Rukia was an active, proactive character, it was really sad to be like, yeah, we're just going to chain you up. It's like, but this person's a badass. And we as the viewers are like, they did nothing wrong. This is some bullshit. And then they're like, yeah, it's fair because of systemic depression. I should be executed. And it's like, no, I call bullshit. But part of why I give this rant is a lot of things in Shonen Jump have ended lately and a lot of new series have started. So now that I've monologued about how I'm concerned for Kaiju number 8 because it's hitting a very natural climax for either this act or this show. You know what doesn't have that problem? Kagura Banshee, which has just been awesome this whole time.
I mean, it's definitely working up to the end of the Act 2. I was kind of worried because the pacing was it felt way too quick. I thought it was going to get canceled after the end of Act 1.
I did
then
too.
It managed just to pick up and keep going.
Because like Act 1 was like, okay, I can see. It's like there's a clean, we're going to axe the show point. He got his sword, he won his duel. And they're like, okay, there's 6 swords left. But this one is such like a separate arc. It almost feels more like a classic anime. So a lot of newer ones only really do like one super arc. This one feels like more like a conventional anime plot arc, like a Dark Tournament or Android Saga. Like you could easily call this the Auction Saga.
Yeah, but I do have a question. Actually, this is one of the things I want to talk about in Shonen Jump.
Nice.
So the Sazami. I'd have to look it up, but the family that's running the auction.
Yeah.
They have one family member that's a failure, and they disown him.
Like
and
you do.
Then the main character happens to save that character's life during the previous plot arc. And then, because our main character is looking for information on this auction, he happens to come across this character again and saves his life again. And then they build up a little bit of personal dynamic and they help each other realize their full potential. But this happenstance that he saves this character's life twice, and then that character turns out to be the key to everything.
So, here's what I like about the happenstance and I don't like about the happenstance. So, in some storytelling, you have to have some happenstance, because one of the like big things they teach you in Intro to Creative Writing is why today? What about today made the story start? So the first coincidence, I give a freebie in any story, no matter how stupid the coincidence is. If your character needs to be hit by lightning at the same time a spider bites them, and then it warps them to a fantasy world. That's your premise.
Right.
It's fine. So,
Mm.
him saving the character the first time to act as a pivot to the second arc.
Right.
That's not going to bug me too much. Like, you need to adopt Dio Brando to tell the story.
Right.
The second save didn't feel as coincidental. Like, I feel like they're going to hint that either his teleporty buddy or the Yakuza or someone tried to make that meeting happen. Like, once someone saves you the first time, and then they save you the second time, that feels less coincidental. Like, if it'd be easy for there to be a line where it's like, oh yeah, I ran to you, or I sensed your energy or something without realizing it. But as for
maybe
me,
maybe I'd have to reread the chapter, but it seemed like he hardly even recognized the character, and then it's like, oh wait, you're a member of the family that's running the auction that I'm trying to find information on.
But
Maybe
however,
you can help me out.
in a series where bloodline powers are how the function works, and him being the key, that just made perfect sense to me. Like, I knew that was going to happen from the moment I met that character the second time. Is, oh yeah, he's going to get the power to open the door. That's what you do.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, sure, we have backflips and grenades happening. I also enjoyed there was also a bit of a twist too. It's like, your power's a failure. You can only send things into the vault. You can't pull it out. What are you going to do? Oh, I'll send him into the vault. Duh. And I like had an actual oh snap moment where I'm like, that's so obvious. I love it.
Well, and then imbuing his spirit energy into the item so they can be taken out of the vault.
Mm-hmm.
They do that with the grenades and just blow up a bunch of. Well, I mean, they're despicable people at this auction because the auction sells
People.
slaves and
Yeah.
whatnot. Like,
So that was amazing. I enjoyed that. So
in any event, the latest chapter of Kagurabachi has definitely been. The characters' names, they're very
it has Bleach
recognizable.
syndrome. Like, we're gonna codename everyone.
Probably.
It's gonna be Teleport Guy, Single Hollow Mask Guy, Sword Mashal, Teleport Regan. Like, it's inevitable because it's. So, I've given this rant before, but I love when they give characters code names or simple names. And it's written in a different language. So, like, if you use names as written in some manga, the language barrier is going to hurt. Like, Chiharaharo has, like, 3 eyes in it. And a lot of anime give people squad numbers and code names and things.
Right.
Like, I don't know how much of Naruto names I would have memorized if they didn't, like, give each person a code name or an eplet or, like, a fun fact. Like, it would be like, I'm Sasuke Uchiha of the Uchiha clan with the Sharingan eyes because we're Uchihas. I'm like, alright, this guy's an Uchiha. I get it. I'm Gara of the Sand. I murder people with my sand. My name is literally Might Guy. I'm just straight up Bruce Lee.
Shikamaru deals with shadows.
Right?
I
Like,
mean, that's a coincidental translation, but
like,
I assume.
Yeah, but, like, still, like, there's a lot of. Apparently, his name, like, I think they're like their names translate to like deer, boar, and pig or something. I don't remember. There's a whole thing. But yeah, like, they made sure to like declare character names like they're a big deal in Naruto. And then Bleach, we still don't know everyone's names. We absolutely just number them. Or he'll just go so off the wall. He'll be like, my name is Grimjaw Jaggerjacks. And I'm like, well, I'll remember that.
Grimjaw.
That's just ridiculous. It's probably good.
If I were going to make a complaint about Kagurabachi, because I'm not actually complaining about the coincidences, I just thought that was an interesting, like...
well, like,
for such a good series, the coincidences kind of stacked up, and it's like,
So, you know what energy it gives me?
Flaw?
So, our earlier theory that, let's say he also didn't know if he'd get canceled after that first act. This act feels like he was making it up as he went along at the start, and then hit his stride about 5 chapters in and figured, like, he didn't quite know what he was going to do. Because then it makes sense, like, okay, he runs into this guy again. There's an auction, but then it, like, starts to piece together nicely. So,
yeah, it really did.
So, like, I'm going to give it a lot of slack, mostly because its quality is just so much higher than all the other new things right now for just, like... like, if we look at manga as not just the story, but the manga object, which is how Shonen Jump... Like, that's how Bleach hits my top list, is not the writing or the dialogue. It's the combination of it plus the imagery. That scene of him flipping upside down and cutting in half grenades with his sword to teleport them into the audience, those 2 pages. Something can be pretty poorly written for me not to think that I'm doing a kickflip to slash grenades in half to teleport them into an obvious audience of mafiosos isn't sick. Like, that's just cool.
But then we move on to like the 2 new series, one after the other. Last week they introduced. I guess I could actually look up on my phone.
Yokai Buster Murakami.
Oh yeah. Have you given the second chapter a read, or did you give up because of the weird butt stuff?
Gave up instantly. So, like, I love to make the nickel joke, right? So, actually, no, well... So, I'm actually torn on this one. I had to, like, give this a refresher. So I didn't give up instantly, because the idea is that he defeats demons not by any of the Bleach logic you'd expect, but by being so deadpan of it and telling them to their face how stupid their concept is.
Right.
The actual premise is person with basic logic explains to these ghosts that everything about them is dumb and they should kill themselves. And then they do.
Right.
So, like, he just cancel cultured that Kappa out of existence. That might be the most shade I've seen someone throw. So I actually kind of like that one as a comedy. I do not believe it's going to last more than, like, 20 chapters.
Well, so, yeah, I everything that he said about Kappa, apparently, I mean, I couldn't verify...
it was true.
I couldn't verify the 3 butthole thing, apparently.
But it feels true. This feels like a person did their research.
It definitely feels true. But when... It's so risque, because, like, I don't know if it's, like, a translation thing or what, but they called it an anal bead?
Yeah,
The soul gem that they take out, and it's like, yeah, Kappas did steal people's life essence out of their butts.
So you know what's really funny? So you know how I mentioned about what we do in the shadows, how Chainsaw Man's awkward scene has nothing on what we do in the shadows, but because it's in Shonen Jump, we're conditioned? Right. Remember the first 20 chapters of Dragon Ball? In the first 20 chapters of Dragon Ball, could you see Oolong making an anal bead joke?
That's true. I could see that happening.
So it's like, weirdly enough, it's almost went full circle where I'm like, yeah, no, that joke shouldn't be in here, and that's kind of what I'm giving the props for.
Okay. But the other half of the premise is that the actual exorcist is a scaredy cat.
I don't care for that part. That feels sexist.
Well, it blows my mind that the next week they release a story about an exorcist that is too scared to exorcise demons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did both of these concepts get greenlit in such close succession?
Right? So, like, that first one, so there's a lot of Bleach wannabes in Shonen Jump right now.
The second one is definitely a Bleach wannabe, but mixed with the Yokai Buster.
No, Ultimate Exorcist Kyoshi is just Soul Eater. Down to the
that's fair.
The artwork, the character expressions, the style. And, like, even the, I have a 777 tattoo on my back. I'm like, yeah, of course you do. And, like...
Okay.
It's, like, trying to be funny, but it's not. Like, definitely has Soul Eater vibes, but, like, it has bled into my brain. But, like, what baffles me more that Ultimate Exorcist Kyoshi and Yokai Buster Murakami are in the same series is they also have Nue's Exorcist and Kyoko Koko Necromancer running.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That was the Kyoko Koko Necromancer. I forgot about that one.
As you should.
Even though I have been reading it, but it's just like...
So, like, the fact that there's 4, if we don't count Chainsaw Man, which, to be fair, Chainsaw Man's not only not in Shonen Jump, but also is Chainsaw Man. And, like, it's a lot of similar energy. And it's not particularly compelling. Oh, I guess Jujutsu Kaisen as well, yeah. So 5 Exorcist shows going? So...
Yeah.
And the Kyoko Necromance being in the same magazine as News Exorcist, that breaks me. Because I could not believe when I saw something with the word Exorcist on its cover looking at the lineup. And, like, there's also another one, technically, Dandalan, even though it's a web exclusive. Also is an exorcist and a psychic team up while the exorcist helps them deal with alien stuff and the psychic helps them deal with exorcist stuff. But that one's on meth, so it's at least very interesting.
Huh. You think that one's worth reading? It kind of bugs me when I see it. It says web only. I'm like,
So there's a
not on the web.
I can't do it justice. It just has one insane thing happen after another in such rapid succession that you can't guess it. You just can't. It's pretty great.
Yeah, okay.
And then Undead Unluck. So, this is going to be a weird comparison. I'm going to ask you this as a question. Does Undead Unluck right now give you JoJo's Part 6 vibes? Where everyone's just doing weird things for the sake of weird things at this point?
Part 6. Okay, sorry.
Steel Ocean.
Yeah, okay.
Where it's like...
Well...
The villain's vaguely established plan involving various MacGuffins to become God, maybe. Like, Undead Unluck just feels like it's long since lost a point to it.
Well, because they like shifted things around because the first seat that actually gets to loop back and remember everything.
Yeah, but like it's turned into the JoJo's effect where every chapter is just two weird people having a stand battle in sequence.
Yeah, I'd say so. I don't know. It's kind of been a long time going that I've talked about Undead Unluck before, where they
jump to sharks so
weird
hard.
Powers. Well, no, they have weird powers that are weird for the sake of being weird, which I guess is where you get those JoJo's vibes from, because like
when they're playing like the word game against the other word game.
I mean, I kind of enjoyed that.
I did too. Like, I'm not dunking on it. I'm more like just wondering if you also feel like originally it was trying to be like. It felt like it was trying to be not a speed grapher, but like a people with weird powers. Unravel a mystery, post-apocalyptic anime, and then it turned very JoJo's, which is not what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah, it's kind of been JoJo's from the start.
Yeah, maybe I just didn't catch it. That might be it. I might just not have caught that it was JoJo's from the start. Because they put women in it.
Yeah. It definitely didn't feel JoJo's, and like there's way more representation in the series.
Actually, you know what it is? I think I got it now. Manga. It's Hunter x Hunter after all the Nen stuff kicked in. This is the Hunter x Hunter boat. Where it's like long since been about anything other than the powers. Because Hunter x Hunter after Greed Island really just became about weird power interactions. Chimera Ant Arc was literally just weird powers interacting with other weird powers. And then everything after that got even weirder. Like, this is my specialist sister ghost alternate form, and here's the 30 rules that it follows, and if you use those rules correctly, you can checkmate people, and then people explode. We'll use that to fix Gon during our election. You're like, is this even about anything, or is this literally just, I'm going to showcase my weird ideas? Hunter x Hunter's a weird one. It's like, Hunter x Hunter is one of those things that's probably actually overrated, because it has some really good parts. And some very mid parts.
I would agree that Hunter x Hunter is overrated.
Although its rating goes up a full 2 points if you end it at the tree.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those series that I don't think the author is ever actually going to come back to finish it, because he just like
exploded.
Left him. He got too bloated, and now he doesn't know what to do.
I don't even think he doesn't know what to do. He's had mega health problems. And it's like,
true too. There's
a lot of layers on it, and I do have to wonder what it'd be like if he had a consistent release schedule and kept doing it. But like, I don't know the circumstance, but it really feels like he comes in and writes a couple chapters so he keeps his health benefits. So on to some things in Shonen Jump that I do enjoy a bit more. So first,
Okay.
do you find it crazy that Akinibashi is at 115 chapters? I haven't checked in with it forever, but I'm shocked that's alive.
Sorry, which one?
Akan Bonanchi. It's like the stage comedy one.
Yeah. I haven't checked on that in a long time. Cultural barrier. It's like
Just
about some sort of traditional Japanese stage performance.
so I looked at it, I'm like, good for you for still being alive. Continues life uninfected. So for things that are still alive that shock me, though, Roboco needs to die. I would even take an Exorcist show over it. And then Super Psychic Policeman Shoujo is just my favorite manga airing in Shonen Jump by like a lot. So
yeah,
there's a few super long running series in Shonen Jump that people don't realize how super long running they were because they're gag series. So like Gintama, for example, or Psyche-K or Koche Kame are just like, yeah, no, this is just a doofy enough premise, and I'm a funny enough writer, I can just do this forever.
Right.
Because, like, he just had a Yu-Gi-Oh! Episode, and he had a 3-episode long Power Rangers arc. And he had a plumber arc, and the premise is, Psychic Detective is just over people. It's just great. Like, they just worked at Kmart. Why'd they go work at Kmart? Because they can. Because who cares? A character literally yells, all that plot development ruined, and punches somebody.
Yeah.
Overtly
Are you enjoying Psych House?
Kind of, yeah, I think so. So you know how my problem with Kill Blue was it's one sidestep away from being super cringy?
Mm-hmm.
So Psych House, I'm like, are you going to turn into a rom-com, and is that going to make me quit reading you? That's my concern with it, because so far it's just been 100% wholesome. Like, there's no plot. It's just wholesome.
Oh, I mean, there's a little bit of a plot, but yeah, it is mostly just wholesome.
There's no antagonist.
Well, I mean, I guess there's an antagonistic force in that they have to learn how to use their psyches.
Yeah, that's not an antagonist. So, like, for a series to keep going, and your antagonist doesn't have to be a person. Sometimes you can literally have the problem be society. One of my profs just rolled their eyes at that sentence from wherever they are on this earth. Because, like, oh man, are they tired of college kids writing about how the real villain is society? Anywho, not to harp on that too much, there just isn't an antagonist right now. And it's like, I don't know how long it can maintain wholesome antics, because then you start getting into cartoon territory rather than what people imagine manga to be. Because then you're SpongeBob. And even SpongeBob caved and had to add in some recurring antagonists. Like, even Pokemon had to go with Team Rocket at some point. And there's one other show I can think of that didn't really have an antagonist, and it was Witch Watch.
Oh, Witch Watch. I that's like the only series that I started reading that there was the Cypher Academy. I gave up on that one too. But Witch Watch, I read quite a bit about it, and I can't handle it. I gave up. I haven't read it in like 2 months.
Yeah, that's fair. But I think that was his problem, is it didn't have an antagonistic force. So, it's going to be a hot take, but there's actually 2 antagonists in Chozo, that's why it'll last forever. First, there's the police chief.
Right.
And more importantly, there's Choro. He is the antagonist, and she is the protagonist, and they will be fighting every day of their lives. Because everything and the thing is, they're antagonists to each other because they're diametrically opposed. He is a slacker otaku who wants to build Gunpla and play cards, and she is a trained professional who wants to take this job seriously. That'll fuel it forever.
So have you been reading Astro Royale?
Yeah. It's kind of funny, because it's like, it's original in plot, but not original in vibes. So Naruto kind of has this problem. This is a weird problem. and I'm going to dunk on Naruto for a bit. There is no reason for Naruto to be about ninjas.
Right.
The fact there are ninjas is irrelevant. It's just flavor. There is no reason...
Realistically, they're wizards, but they didn't want to do that kind of fantasy?
Like, none of them would... very few of them would even be the monk class in D&D. Pretty sure Naruto's a warlock.
Oh yeah, straight up.
And Sasuke's probably a wizard, but before I go and spend the 3 hours that conversation would take... My problem with Astro Royale is they're like, we have a gangster theme. And it's just that. They have MacGuffin superpowers from nowhere to do...
Right.
I don't even have a good example of people just wake up with superpowers because superpowers. But they have superpowers because superpowers. I guess it's closest to My Hero where people just got quirks. And it's gangster themed, but not... The gangster themes are superficial. They don't go into the actual story elements. So it feels like I'm reading My Hero Academia, but it's not really grounded. And the characters don't really have a whole lot of personality going for them. I don't know what I would want it to be, but Kagabanchi was better at being gangsters.
Yeah. Because it's still leaning heavily into these mafiosa vibes with this auction arc.
Right? That feels super mobster. You tell me Wizard Mafia, I'm like, yeah, no, those guys are Wizard Mafia. I'm going to take some of those for my D&D campaign, reflavor it a bit. But the teleporting into an auction hall where they sell people, that is some Wizards of Thay shit. That's great.
Yeah.
But Sakamoto Days also ran into that problem where it's assassin themed, but doesn't actually be themed about assassins.
Oh, yeah.
Where Spy Family is actually about an assassin.
Are you still reading Sakamoto Days?
I don't remember the last time I checked in. I will on occasion, just for sheer curiosity.
Because apparently now the new direction the plot is going, which maybe it'll actually be a return to form, but the new direction the plot is going is that Sakamoto wants to take over the Japanese Assassin Association so that he can use that to make his convenience store into a national brand.
No, it's not funny enough. They've leaned too far away from the comedy at this point. The moment he went into skinny mode as a superpower, it lost its soul.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the moment he's like, I'm going to be actual badass now, I'm like, you lost the joke. It's over. And then my wholesome golf anime ended.
Aww.
He was just... He had a crush on her, so he learned to play golf, and then he fell in love with golf. And then, as a result of him falling in love with golf, she fell in love with him, and then they went off to America to play golf together. I'm fine with this. That also completely lacked an antagonist as well. I wonder if that's the recurring theme to things that get prematurely canceled, is they just forgot to have an antagonist.
No. Doran to Dororan. I don't know why that one got canceled.
Pour one out
for it. That was kind of a little bit of a precursor to this whole Exorcist.
Yep.
I'm going to call it a pandemic because this series is being overrun by this style of story.
Right? And I love to say it's the Bleach effect because because Bleach ripped off a fair number of, was inspired by, I don't like to say ripped off, was inspired by a fair number of things already, like Blue Exorcist and, Bleach was, I don't actually know, I think Bleach predates Blue Exorcist and Soul Eater, but I'm not actually sure. My brain doesn't go back that far. But all three of them would be influenced by Yu Yu Hakusho to some extent.
Right.
But what happened was, they're like, look at Shonen Jump's dark trio of Chainsaw Man and JJK and Hell's Paradise and da-da-da, and it's like... It's actually Attack on Titan's fault, I'm pretty sure.
You think it's Attack on Titan's fault?
Attack on Titan brought a whole wave of, a whole generation into anime, and then everything was trying to be super edgy. But it's funny, because when you write something super edgy in Shonen Jump, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
I cannot believe Chainsaw Man must be pulling in so much money to not get canceled. Oh yeah, Shadow Eliminators was another one that was part of this infestation.
Yeah, that one got canceled prematurely, though.
Good. Because, like, I'm looking on this, I'm literally just
At
pulled
least I'm
out
pretty sure it did.
the free chapters list, right? I'm going to play Count the Exorcist things. So, I'm going to say a title, and you're going to add to the counter if you think it adds to the counter. Chainsaw Man. I'll start it there. We'll give it a 1.
Yeah, okay, 1.
Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi.
Obviously.
So we're up to 2. Yokai Buster Murakami.
Obviously.
Kagura Banshee, not really. It's mostly people murdering people. I don't actually think there are monsters in it. The real monster might be mankind.
Yeah, okay.
News Exorcist.
Obviously.
So that puts us up to
4.
Kyoko Koto Necromance.
5.
Witch Watch?
No. No, that's not. There are yokai in there, because, like, the one character is a Tengu,
and he's
but it's not about exercising them.
Yeah, fair enough. I've never read this one that's labeled Shoujo Null. I don't know what that's about.
That one is definitely not Exorcist. That one is actually, that one's pretty interesting.
Noted. Feel free to segue.
The main character, his dad. I guess send me back. There's AI robots that have mind control chips in them.
Oh yeah. I think I did read a couple chapters of this, but keep going. Keep cooking.
And the main character's dad, he was in a resistance group, and he discovered that the robots are actually sentient, and that when they have their brain control chips in them, they actually like see and feel and experience everything, but they just can't resist because of the brain control thing.
Yeah. This is all coming back to me. I should catch up on that.
And so then there's like a psychotic police investigator that's trying to cover up that the robots are actually like sentient and aware.
Semi-related, I finally got around to going through Westworld with one of my friends. Westworld's real good.
One.
Yeah.
But then so the main character, his dad, was killed by this psychotic police officer that's part of the cover-up. And
likely played by Keanu Reeves.
Then a military-grade robot gets lost in a crash or something, and she ends up at this kid's house, and she's just basically like, yeah, you're pretty cool, but you and me, we should go kill all the humans. And I mean, he hasn't done any human killing yet, but he did get like cyborg parts implanted into him because his arm got cut off by one of the psychotic police officers, and
so like, despite all the shade we've thrown at Show and Jump, there are some cool things going. Like, I don't think I even explained what Psycho was, but Psychos is just a gag series that's like, I'm gonna say if My Hero Academia wasn't trying to be Show and Jump and just let itself be funny. So
okay.
So shall we continue this?
Shoujo No is not Exorcist series.
I gave Astro Baby its first 3 chapters, and I'm like, wow, that's fucked. So I might get back to that later.
Astro Baby. I think Astro Baby has some serious potential too.
Okay. Boruto. You know what's funny? Naruto absolutely would not fall into this I exercise demons with magical powers as they slowly take over my body bullshit. Boruto. So right now he's fighting. They come from another world, and they're aliens that planted a tree. And from this tree, they grew clones of people to fight them. Is Boruto part of the infestation of these series? Because he's not fighting ninjas. Ninjas no longer matter.
Yeah,
he's fighting interdimensional aliens.
And everyone can fly, and well, everyone that matters can fly anyways.
So, you could argue it's part of this infestation.
Well, Boruto's just bad. It doesn't know what it wants to be. I don't know if I would call it an Exorcist series, but it definitely is.
It could be. It's close. So, Kaiju number 8 is not an Exorcist series. It's actually just good. Go watch Kaiju number 8 or read it. Like, the moment they're like, this is my 32-year-old protagonist who's removing kaiju guts for the street, I'm like, ooh, this is going to be something special.
Yeah, okay.
There's something called Blade of the Moon Princess. I've never read a single chapter of it.
That is actually Vault Chapters. The guy who did Spy Family, that was a series he did before that. Although, ironically, it's being advertised as being from the creator of Spy Family, even though I'm pretty sure it's a previous work.
Interesting. And then we have Ruri Dragon, which is just wholesome dragon fun times, not an Exorcist show. I thought it got canceled because the antagonist in this plot arc is Riley's high school bully doesn't like that she doesn't pay attention to people.
I am enjoying the dragon, Ruri Dragon.
As am I. Like, I need I like balance. Like, Ruri Dragon is the inverse opposite of Kagibanshi, and I'm completely on board with that. All right, so Chojin X, not as nothing. I dropped that on chapter 1.
It's like Tokyo Ghoul, but better, I think.
Well, it's the same guy.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying that all the problems everything I loved about Tokyo Ghoul is still there, and all the things I hated about Tokyo Ghoul when it decided to stop being Tokyo Ghoul, it's so far it's just been better.
Nice. Great review.
I feel like he's learned from his mistakes, but that is definitely not an Exorcist type of thing because the children don't really get exorcised.
Fair. Then we have Beat in Motion, definitely not Exorcists.
Right.
We have Kaiju number 8 B-side, which I haven't read yet, but if it's anything like A-side, I'm excited. So
so the B-side, so Shiniyoma, the prodigy child, she gets a custom weapon.
Yeah, the Death Axe.
And yeah, the B-side is them showing her getting that weapon. And so like they try and give her another custom weapon and she doesn't like it, and then she ends up choosing the axe, and it's like a little mini arc. Or they hint at the vice captain, the whole thing about how in this era swordsmen are useless, and then there's a whole like little arc about him meeting the captain.
I think that made it into the anime.
No.
Okay.
The anime and the manga have extremely abridged versions of what the B-side shows.
Got it. But to move along from that one, since we're still playing Hunt the Exorcist, Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I forgot it was about that, but yes. Bleach did that too, where it's like, yeah, we've just forgot about Hollows. I'm like, but that's a cool part. Okay. My Hero Academia only has 5 chapters left, and it's done.
Yeah, okay.
I want it dead. I've never read a chapter of Dark Gathering, so I don't know.
Oh, definitely Exorcists.
Nice. Blue Exorcist.
Definitely Exorcists.
Seraph of the End, I think, was technically vampires.
Yeah,
I would say Exorcists. They feel pretty
I didn't read very much
Exorcist.
of it, but yeah, I mean, the one guy is supposed to fight vampires, and then his buddy got turned into a vampire, and then it's about the interpersonal dynamics of them being friends, but vampire hunter and vampire.
I'm gonna say that's an Exorcist.
I didn't get very far into that series before I was just like, yeah, I don't really care. But
I don't know what Goku Rakagi is.
Oh, I'll have to. I don't think let's see.
It's entirely possible there's things that neither of us read, but between the two of us, we have surprisingly good coverage.
Children X. Oh, yeah, that one's an Exorcist one.
Oh, nice. We have Twin Star Exorcists.
I think that one's actually done.
Maybe. We have World Trigger?
No, that's not an Exorcist show.
It's funny because it's sci-fi, but in practice is identical. You replace demons with neighbors, and your demon-killing weapons with triggers. Wait, no, never mind. World Trigger's about building a video game in a simulator. What am I talking about? Black Clover's just fairy tale, but like it's not about
Black
exorcists. It's close to being about exorcists, but it's not. It's the same problem I had with that Mafia show. It's wizard themed.
Mm.
You could switch out wizards in Black Clover for any other genre. Like if it was mafia themed and every mafioso had a mafia gun, but he didn't get a mafia gun, he got a mafia billy club. So he had to use his anti-magic billy club to fight the different mafia guns. It'd be functionally the same show.
What annoys me about Black Clover, and I mean I've read it all, but what annoys me about Black Clover is that his anti-magic has become a form of magic.
Yes.
He uses it to fly.
Yeah, I'm on board with this hate. Weirdly enough, Mashal did it better. But problem with Mashal is when Mashal did the Ninja War. But when we did that, I gave that rant about the Ninja War problem or the Shibuya problem. Mashal did that too. And we're like, no one cares about these fights with these. I did not learn a single person's name. Why are you expecting me to know these people? I care about Mashal and Mashal alone. How dare you, series? Like, I was completely fine with him kicking the island away because I'm here for Mashal. We have a Demon Slayer spin-off, which is absolutely a yokai problem.
I think that makes 11.
We got Shadow Eliminators.
Yeah, I was trying to double check to see if that one actually ended. I think it did because it hasn't had any new chapters in a while, and
all right, I think we've hit the shows a chunk of shows have already ended because we have Mama Yu Yu, which has ended. We have I don't know if Ghost Reaper Girl's still going.
I believe the author was writing it, got sick, wrote a couple more chapters, got sick. It might be the Hunter x Hunter syndrome.
Okay. We have Magic Luminaire Magical Girls Incorporated, which is actually really good, even though it's still an Exorcist show. So the premise of this one is like, you have magical girls that kill demons, but we're watching like a small business startup try and make their way in this crowded marketplace of magical girls.
Right.
So you have a surprising amount of like the guy in his magical girl outfit trying to make his magical girl company stand out against the competition. It's like it's weirdly corporate, which makes it more better. Or it's like, I can't just kill the monster. I have to kill the monster to get good PR so we get more referrals so we can pay our paychecks. So that aspect of it is fun. And then I think I just hit the Graveyard of Dead series because we got Jiangxi X, which I think ended.
Oh yeah, that ended. That was an Exorcist show, though.
All right, so we ended up with how many Exorcist shows?
I think we hit 13.
Okay, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 30. So we have about 30 series going in Shonen Jump before I hit that things stop thing. 34? Yeah, we have about 34 series total in Shonen Jump that are currently going before we hit that dead spot. Or on Shonen Jump Online or accessories.
So about a third of what's in Shonen Jump right now we would classify as Exorcist shows.
Correct. With a couple that were on the fence that were very similar in structure to Exorcist shows, but weren't technically Exorcists. Being World Trigger and Witch Watch. And for all I know, Roboco is about exorcists.
But now we've been ranting about Shonen Jump for a while here, so maybe we should move on to our random question.
Sounds good. Give me one moment. Continue to explain something. I don't know. Explain B-plot a bit more while I find our question list.
Well, I mean, there's not much more to explain about the B-side. They weren't exactly plot holes in the manga. Because it's like they have a scene where it's like, we're giving you a custom weapon because our third strongest officer should also be part of our frontline attacking force.
So have I used Who's Your Favorite Disney character yet?
I
feel like we have.
Not? I don't know. I don't remember. And also, I honestly...
Because we likely would have said... I would have probably said Robin Williams' Genie. Like, it sounds vaguely familiar.
I mean...
Okay, here's an interesting one. And I think they make this completely seriously. Have you ever seen a ghost?
Have I ever seen a ghost? No. No, I have not.
So I've never seen a ghost, but the closest I think I got to like a ghost-like experience.
Mm-hmm.
So normally when I pass out, I'm very conscious that I'm out cold. I don't normally like zone in and out or pass in and out, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So there's twice in my life where I've like actually fainted. And have
Okay.
you ever actually fainted?
I don't think so, no.
So I'm standing upright, and I was in Vancouver for, I think, spreading my dad's ashes, actually. And I hadn't eaten in like a couple days, so I'm just like standing in this hotel room, and then I'm like in the middle of a conversation, and then I'm just on the ground.
Right.
And I like look again, and like the perspective has changed, and I had no idea what had happened because I had no memory of the part where I fell.
Right.
And I gotta say, for people who believe in ghosts, if you ever just straight up faint and you just have a chunk of missing time from just passing out so suddenly and instantly you can't keep track. Yeah, no, if I didn't have people around to tell me I fainted, and it's like, were you attacked by a ghost? I'm like, I don't know, I was on my way to a funeral and I was just on the ground suddenly out of nowhere. I could see how that would be a ghost-like experience if I didn't have witnesses.
Well, okay, so, I mean, the most common ghost-like experience that I hear about is sleep paralysis.
It turned out to be Miko one time.
Because the sense of impending dread that comes along with that. And I have experienced sleep paralysis, but never such that I've actually seen any sort of like sleep paralysis demons.
What's kind of funny is we're like, me and you are not, despite very much enjoying fiction, are not particularly superstitious human beings at all, because these exorcists, all 30 of them, are doing their work. Man, I would totally give that Ultimate Exorcist show a free pass launching the same week as the Yokai Buster if they were in the same cinematic universe. Especially if they like make us wait a year for that reveal.
That would be amazing.
But with that, thank you everybody for tuning in to Richard and Karl present Deep Space and Dragons. Keep your eyes posted on my various social medias, because we might do a game development live stream for Karl's game project. Might be a follow on Google Doc if I can make the technology work. And stay hydrated, don't faint, and please don't send in any Exorcist manga. Bye.
Yeah, take care. Bye.